recorded live.
Examples like what?
Wow, we're just gonna start it like that, huh?
Might as well just continue the conversation. You've joined us, Claude and Justin, discussing Quentin Tarantino's latest diatribe, Inglourious Bastards. From the balcony.
Well, one example that came to mind was the really long scene in Kill Bill, I think Volume 2, where you see it's a flashback and it's at the wedding rehearsal, and Bill stands outside and I want to say he plays a flute or something. I could be wrong though. That might have been another part of the movie.
It sounds ridiculous, so it sounds right.
Anyway, he hangs out outside, and she goes out there and talks to him, and he sort of, makes this grand speech.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And it's this really long scene, but sort of standing out there by himself on the front of the thing, it's kind of a theatrical gesture, I think, and that's the prelude to the Big Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Him sort of alone on the porch, and this.
I think theatrical is a very interesting, and revealing word to describe his, that style and that aspect of his style.
Yeah. Because
I think that's what people respond to, the larger-than-life quality of his characters.
Yeah.
And how the sort of mundane qualities that they have and interests that they have become the most interesting things, the way he makes it bigger.
Right.
Really just by talking about it and just by how they talk about it. And, that's interesting. And theatrical is, I think that's kind of that's a perspective on it.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to see that.
Right. And some other examples they brought up, the Bible speech from Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
As a prelude to killing someone, and I was thinking the ear cutting scene in Reservoir Dogs, with the musical accompaniment and the dancing and all that.
What's weird is Kill Bill had a lot of that. Very theatrical. Yeah. Those fight scenes, and
yeah.
A lot of that. But it's weird that I think it, the idea that he sort of, recycles things that he likes, and pop culture and sort of throws it back in your face.
Yeah.
It seems very, very film, very cinematic, but it's really theater on film.
Yeah.
It's it's like this movie, it's like that movie, but the sort of the overall structure of it is like theater.
Yeah.
When you are actually, sort of shooting it and doing it.
Right.
That's where it kind of comes from.
Yeah, it's strange, and I think I want to say that's something he's bringing to it, because he does pretty much exclusively reference movies. Not plays.
It makes me think of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Mhm.
A very theatrical movie.
Yeah.
That I think is not too far for something he would do.
maybe the first half.
Mhm.
Hopefully.
Yeah. There's some weirdness.
Gets really bad later, but yeah. I mean, Rocky Horror Picture Show feels theatrical because it feels like a musical, which it is.
Yeah.
So it has great big production.
I mean, but that's all he's
pieces.
missing is the singing.
Yeah, that's true. And he does use music.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the character singing, but he has them do things to music.
Yeah.
That's really common.
There's often dancing.
There's definitely dancing. Yeah, and music will define characters a lot of times as well, and that's kind of a musical kind of thing.
So basically, Quentin Tarantino is a musical director, modern musicals. I think we just deconstructed QT to a T.
And I think that's true of his cinematic side, which is theatrical. Strangely, I think the other side is also theatrical, but that's the dialogue side, which I think is different. It's the combination of the two that is his style, I think.
Yeah.
Throwing together really extended and unusual, unique dialogue passages with these strangely theatrical, almost musical-like production pieces.
Yeah. Craziness.
There's that scene in obviously there's the dancing scene in Pulp Fiction. Everyone remembers that, but there's also when John Travolta first gets there to pick her up, there's music playing while he walks around waiting for her to come out.
Yeah.
And then later, when they go back to the apartment, or I guess it's not an apartment. Anyway, when they go back to the place,
I think it was technically a pad.
Yeah, thank you. And he goes into the bathroom, and she's just like hanging out. She puts on music and starts dancing around, and it's this long sequence.
No, it was the thing about people, those two dancing. They really had both expressed themselves through the art of dance.
Yeah.
That was something interesting. You don't really see people just like, I'm just gonna dance for a second. Like, just really dance.
Yeah. No, I think nobody was really doing it, and it, people wanted to see it. They just didn't know. So nobody was really doing that anymore. Certainly in the old days, there was plenty of dancing in movies, but it kind of went out of style. And and he even put it, in that weird, like, nostalgia restaurant, with 50s music playing, and it sort of made it this retro thing.
Totally. I mean, they were like these 50s characters that walk into a 50s place.
Yeah.
It's like they fit right in. It's like they didn't really seem out of place in the real world.
Right.
But then when they go to the 50s, it's like they fit right in.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, just just out on, the normal modern day streets of LA.
Yeah.
They seem okay. They don't seem like they're, out of place, but
no.
Then you put them in there and it's like, wow, here's where they belong.
Yeah, it's like, this is where they're from. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Because if you started watching the movie from that scene, you might think the movie was set in the 50s.
Yeah, definitely.
But, they were in a 50s diner. That helps.
Yeah, it does.
But no, he does use music a lot, and I think that's one thing a lot of directors don't usually get attached to, is a certain kind of nuance to the music.
Yeah.
You know? So he's got that going for him too.
Yeah.
Because you know it's going to be something interesting and.
Yeah, I think he, you know, he uses old music usually, and he digs up things that aren't that well known. You know, it's like the opposite, not the opposite, but a very different approach from what they did in like Watchmen, for example, where they use like iconic music from that time period to evoke that time period. I think what he does is like go obscure. It still evokes the time period, but it's not something you immediately recognize necessarily. You know, a lot of that stuff I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
And I think he picks it. It's the closest thing he has to like doing a score.
Yeah.
You know, finding a song and matching it up to a scene. It seems to be his thing. I don't think he really knows how to write a score, so that's his way of doing it. And I think he does that pretty well, and probably pays more attention to it than, you know, many people seem to. But I do think it's an important thing, and it definitely shows up in all the movies.
Yeah. I mean, there's not many directors where you know you're going to have interesting characters, an interesting story, interesting music, interesting dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, it's a strange combination.
Yeah.
You know, like for contrast, like someone like David Mamet, you know, if you see one of his movies, you're going to get interesting dialogue, certainly. Interesting characters, probably.
Yeah.
Beyond that,
it's
going to be pretty flat.
Yeah, it trails off pretty quickly.
You're not going to be blown away by the music or the cinematography or the sets or any camera shots or anything like that. All that's pretty dull.
Yeah.
I still really like it, but it just doesn't have those things.
Yeah, you look at someone like David Fincher, and I'd say you can count on getting. I give him an interesting story.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I'd give him, and I really like David Fincher, but you know you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's not the same thing.
I do. Yeah. There's not. It's.
And that's not to say, of course, Fight Club didn't have interesting characters and interesting story and interesting cinematography and interesting music and you know, I liked Panic Room. I really liked The Game. You know. But when you look at them overall, it's not like you can count on these certain things to be in all of them. Yeah, it's hard to identify something consistent. David Lynch, you know. Yeah. You can count on interesting story, you can count on interesting characters, you can count on interesting cinematography, you can count on interesting music. Yeah. You know. Yeah. The thing he has probably less is dialogue. I don't think his dialogue is really all that amazing. No. But definitely interesting characters and all that other stuff. You know, he's you know, he's all the way over on the other side of making movies where it's really, I would say, not theatrical. It's cinematic. Yeah. It's kind of something. It's mood creating. And not. It's more visual art.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to me that in a lot of cases he's primarily even interested in characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somewhat, but in a lot of cases his characters are pretty flat or just scary, and who knows what they are.
I think he's interested in situations and interactions.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just the pieces that he moves around to do things.
Yeah, but he really never seems to do like an intense sort of character-based thing.
No.
Where it's just primarily focused on that. It's really more of an external thing.
Wait, did you see The Straight Story?
No. I missed that one.
Well, what about Elephant Man? Does that count?
Those might count.
Yeah.
I would want to disqualify them partially because he didn't write them.
Mhm.
You know, and I think him writing the thing is, you know, a big deal in terms of how it comes out.
And that's true, and that also is a point in David Fincher's defense that he doesn't write his stuff, so he's not going to be able to get as much consistent elements.
Yeah, that's true. There definitely are directors that can sort of be consistent even when they don't write stuff, but it's harder, I think.
Yeah.
The more control you have, the more...
There's not a lot of Michael Bays out there.
Yeah. Right. He's nothing if not consistent.
Michael Bay, and that's a good thing. No, I'd say Michael Bay is consistent.
I agree. It's true. I mean, if you go see a Michael Bay movie, you know what you're in for.
Mhm.
You know, he doesn't. He's not going to surprise you too much if you've seen one before, which I have.
You know, I recently watched Bad Boys again.
Mhm.
And Bad Boys 2. Did I tell you that?
No.
Oh,
didn't.
Yeah. And I had never seen Bad Boys 2. I heard it was good. And I'm here to tell you it wasn't. But the first one, Bad Boys, is really, really good. And what makes that movie work, because really it's a buddy cop movie. It's a buddy cop action movie.
Yeah.
But what makes it work is they have Téa Leoni as, you know, the foil, basically. So what happens is, you know, and I didn't realize this before I watched the movie again, I didn't realize that really what the whole movie is about is she's a witness to this crime. Her friend got killed. They need her to, you know, testify. So they have to sort of, you know, and not get killed. So they have to protect her. But the farce is that the identities of the two cops are switched. She thinks Will Smith is Martin Lawrence's character, and Martin Lawrence is Will Smith's character.
Mhm.
So, and then they both have to sort of pretend that they're the other person. But that's what the whole movie is about. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Like, if in the beginning they just said, no, I'm sorry, this is the real guy, and I'm me and he's him, there'd be no movie.
Right. You know, I don't think I've ever seen Bad Boys. I've seen,
you should
like,
watch it. I actually think it's
hard, but
I think that movie is very respectable. I think it does a lot of things really well, and that I think for an action movie, I think the characters are really good, and the way and also what they circumvent, which is really good, is the forced romantic interest, because if she thought Will Smith was Will Smith's character, he's like a ladies' man, and so and they do have sort of an attraction anyway. But I mean, like basically the idea is the movie would have been, them and their and their whole romance and that kind of a movie, which is actually kind of what they did in Bad Boys 2, which is why it sucked.
I see.
But basically, this whole farce kept them from being together because he couldn't tell her who she was, who he was, and all this. Because basically Martin Lawrence's character is married, so Tay Leone thinks Will Smith is married.
Ah.
Yeah, and has kids and stuff. So, because he's the ladies' man, the single guy, and Martin Lawrence is the family man.
Yeah.
And so they switch. But anyway, I don't want to pontificate too much about Bad Boys, but watching it again, I thought it did a lot of good things. The cinematography is actually really good. Michael Bay had some really cool shots and and not this isn't his new stuff with explosions everywhere. I mean, there are explosions, but this was he's doing really cool camera angles and a lot of really, really low angles. And I'm like, man, I don't know any directors who do so many just these really low angles where the characters are just towering over you, and they look really cool, But
I think they did that in Citizen Kane.
Yeah, definitely. They did everything in Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
You'd be hard-pressed to name something they didn't do in Citizen Kane.
I might be wrong, but I feel like I'm remembering some kind of story about how they dug a trench in the floor to get a low angle shot. But yeah, you're right. They did everything, so it's not. The Citizen Kane you can just take out from every example.
Yeah.
It's always
exactly.
there.
It's always there.
Anyway, yeah, that's it's his old, maybe more restrained 90s style.
Yeah, totally restrained 90s style. I think very competent director, doing good stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about his competence.
Yeah.
The guy's a pro. I mean, what are you going to do?
No, he is a pro.
I don't necessarily want to watch his movies most of the time, but, I know if I did, I would not be disappointed by the directing.
Yeah. That's definitely true.
I think it's really other things that make me not want to watch his movies most of the time. But, didn't he, what else did he do? I always forget. Did he direct something like? Oh, The Rock, yeah. The Rock wasn't bad. I saw that.
The Rock was good. The Rock was good. He directed, what's the other good one?
Even though they did, if I recall, do a bit of a ripoff of the adrenaline shot scene in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That's not his fault, but...
somebody had to.
Yeah, I remember that at the time. It's there's that. Guess that's a thing now.
No one did that before Pulp Fiction.
Oh, I'm sure somebody did it before Pulp Fiction, but, it was really close to Pulp Fiction when it came out, so it really seemed like there was an influence there. Whether there was or not, you never know.
The mind finds patterns everywhere.
Could be a ghost situation.
Oh, John August, can't catch a break. Yeah. Oh, Go. Man, what would have happened if Go came out a year or two before?
I don't know.
Tarantino, he just does Pulp Fiction's that copy of Go.
He just did Go again.
He just did Go with old people.
I want to say that it wouldn't have been as big of a deal because it's not as good. Because, Reservoir Dogs came out before Pulp Fiction and didn't make the splash. Yeah, even though it has a lot of the same elements.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe we'd be talking about Go now.
Armageddon he directed. I think that's a good movie.
I never saw it.
You never saw Armageddon?
Nah.
You are about to lose your citizenship.
I just skipped it.
That's a great movie. Okay, great's too much, but it's really good. Yeah, those are all the ones I like. He did The Island, which was not good.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see Pearl Harbor.
I didn't see Pearl Harbor either. I heard that was atrocious.
Yeah, I did too. Not interested in the movie anyway, so.
But yeah, he really hasn't done a whole bunch, but...
Yeah, I noticed that. It's a short list.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
Because it really looks like Bad Boys was his first big movie then.
Yeah.
That's probably why it was, like, all interesting.
Yeah.
He was trying really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, so, are we going to do our True Blood talk now?
Oh, yeah, we're supposed to do that.
This is the preamble, I guess.
Mm-hmm. End of preamble.
The end of preamble. Beep. Preamble over.
For those of you who need a beep to tell you when things are over.
Beepers.
All right, so it's been a little while since we did a True Blood podcast, and quite a bit has happened since then, so we're just going to breezily go through.
Like a breeze.
Like a breeze. That's what I meant by breezily.
Wow.
The 3 episodes that have happened since the last podcast. So,
sit back and relax.
Yeah. There you go.
I assume that's what you're going to say.
Yeah. That'll work. Make yourself some hot cocoa.
Pick up your heels.
2 marshmallows.
Marshmallows are gross. And tasty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
All right, so I think it was episode 8 that I think 7 was the last one we podcast about. So 8, 9, and 10 were the last 3.
That's right.
So let's see. Episode 8. Let's kind of go through what happened there. I mean, these last 3 overall have been really good. Increasingly good, probably. So.
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like the first one was the worst of the 3, and it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah. So let's see. In the beginning, we're picking up from Sookie and Eric. Sookie and the guy going into the Fellowship of the Sun Church, trying to save Godric. This is sort of part 2 of that, where Eric comes in and Eric and Godric come in and sort of rescue Sookie. And we pick up from after Jason got shot by Sarah. We find out it's just a paintball gun. Jason goes off to infiltrate the church to get Sookie. Bill is still being held captive by his maker. You know, that whole part that was boring. What else is going on? Yeah, so Sam finds Darlene dead, and is it Darlene? Yeah, Darlene, and
Darlene?
Is it Darlene?
Daphne.
Oh, Darlene's the other chick, right?
Darlene's what's her name on? Wait, who's Darlene?
Who's the redhead?
Oh, is that her name?
I feel like there's a Darlene.
What's her name?
Is it
maybe there's
Darlene?
a Darlene. Is she Arlene?
Is it Arlene?
That's what I want to say.
Okay, maybe I combine Daphne and Arlene.
Oh yeah, that would do it right there. Let me see.
Thanks,
yeah, she's Arlene.
All right. So he finds Daphne's dead. Her heart's missing. We see Marianne cooking up a treat with the heart. Jason comes in and helps stop Sookie from being attacked, and Eric, he's being held captive. Then we have the whole next part of the episode is when I guess they're at the after party. The thank goodness we didn't see daylight after party. We could have all just died. Let's kick back and drink some wine.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, Jessica and Hoyt are continuing their frivolities and trying to get it on, as the kids say. Are the kids still saying that?
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Godric addresses the traitor, human guy.
Traitor, human
Eric,
guy? Oh, yeah, he let them go, right?
He let him go.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Tara and Eggs are forced to eat the heart souffle by Marianne. That was gross.
Really gross. Really gross.
Sookie and Bill
me of a scene in Eraserhead.
Oh my goodness. Sookie and Bill try to talk, and then Bill's maker comes in and ruins the party.
She's an
Sookie gets sassy, which surprise.
What?
And Godric intervenes and makes her leave, and then Bill says his last goodbyes to her. And then inside where the party is, what's that dude's name?
What dude?
The dude who comes in, the guy from Fellowship of the Sun shows up.
Bomb guy, Luke.
Luke, that's right. He comes in with the bomb with silver metal attached.
Ooh.
So I remember at the end of this thinking, oh, the bomb's not going to go off.
Mm-hmm. I thought that too.
Something's going to happen, and it's not going to, But it went off.
That shit went off.
But I did think if it went off, it wasn't going to kill any vampires.
Yeah.
They're good about healing. I mean.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a lot of silver, and it just wasn't that much.
It did some pretty serious property damage, but it didn't seem like it. I think they mentioned it killed like a couple, but it didn't kill anybody notable.
No.
Of course. That's what I knew.
Course.
I don't know. In my mind, they just couldn't be that close to him and live, but.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they did. I guess Eric jumped on Sookie or something.
Well, he claims, he supposedly stepped and, sort of went in front of her to shield her, and he did take shrapnel, so, she would have gotten hit by the shrapnel. Yeah.
It wouldn't be as good a healing.
And what? Yeah.
Yeah,
it would be harder. But, next, you want to talk about that episode and scan through the next one?
I don't know. Do you? I don't know what to say about it.
Say about this one?
Yeah.
I figure we'll just recap the episodes that we're talking about, and then we'll just talk about what the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. So episode 9. We pick up from the aftermath of the bomb. Like we said, a couple people hurt and dead. No, nothing too crazy. Eric is injured from the shrapnel from protecting Sookie, and begs Sookie to suck the silver metal out of his skin, which I don't know how he could say that with a straight face. And Jason sees that Luke is basically dead because there's nothing left of him but his hand.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they showed Jason walking up to a part of a hand on the floor, and you can see the ring, the honesty ring.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's Luke.
There's Luke. All right. Well, at least someone got hurt.
Yeah. Oh no, he definitely got hurt.
Well, I hope it was worth it, Luke.
Bill comes in and asks Sookie what the hell she's doing, sucking on Eric, and she tries to explain, and then everyone finds out that Eric tricked Sookie into making her drink his blood, so he could be connected to her. And a very interesting thing that I want to point out here, in the conversation when Bill is explaining, he tells Sookie, don't be surprised if after this you start having romantic feelings for Eric, and actually being drawn to him. And she was like, she doesn't like Eric. He repulses her. But, as we know, that is sort of happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it begs the question, if I can use that terminology.
I'd rather you didn't, but okay.
It begs the question, isn't it probably true that the same is true for Bill, that part of the reason Sookie is in love with Bill is this same thing? That if it wasn't the fact that she drank his blood, she might not be as attracted to him and drawn to him? He didn't mention that. Yeah.
You got a point there. It also, excuse me, it also made me wonder about V users.
Mm-hmm.
Do they just suddenly, envision in dreams the vampire that their blood came from?
The way they show V usage, I don't think it's like that. And I don't know, they're still talking about V again a little bit, so maybe we'll see some more with it. Because, V was last season, and maybe they didn't really have this idea of it being drawn to whoever's blood it is.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking the way they showed it, you're supposed to take it in very small amounts,
Mm-hmm.
not like actually drinking it, and So I think I don't think it has that. I don't think it has that effect. Now maybe you could say that's part of the addiction is you get this low dosage of this attraction to a vampire, which is basically making you want to do V more,
Yeah.
to get that blood or something. So maybe that's that's the part of the addictive quality.
Mhm. Also, Lafayette earlier in the season drank Eric's blood.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean he's thinking about Eric now? They haven't really shown that, but he took some serious gulps. I mean, he took it to heal from that gunshot. He got more than Sookie did, probably.
Yeah. I think that has to be true, and I don't know what they're going to do about it or if they'll bring it up, but yeah, I mean, I think that should be true. Because, I mean, that was the whole point is so that he can know what Lafayette is.
Yeah, that's right. He did say that.
And to me, I thought that was cool because it's she's got, what Sookie has with Bill. If something happened and Eric was inclined, he could go rescue him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a safety net. It's it's not a bad trade-off.
Yeah. 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 It does seem like a new idea, though.
It does.
Because I do think they want us to think that...
You know what it is, though? Why I think they told us this idea? Because the being able to sense their feelings is not new, but the romantic attraction is new.
Yeah.
I think what that is the same thing that I was questioning earlier was because we knew sort of from the books that Sookie and Eric, there's a love triangle between them two and Bill.
Yeah.
And it was like, how are they going to get to that point where, even if Eric likes Sookie romantically, Sookie would, like, what could they possibly do to make Sookie like him?
Yeah.
And the first thing they did, I think, was show him vulnerable when he gave himself up for Godric, in the church.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is this,
Yeah.
And they basically told us, like, and I think that's how they're really using that to speed along the process.
Yeah.
He can't, they don't have time for, Eric's just to be like a nice guy and change his personality to make Sookie like him. It's like, we'll do this. We'll make him a little bit nicer, and we'll get do the blood thing.
Yeah, give it a boost. Where it's really against her will, because I think they want us to think that her attraction to Bill was sort of not, to whatever extent that played a part. She would have done it on her own anyway.
Well, I mean, I think she was already interested in him before she drank his blood, and I think they kind of just it was the kind of thing where they just kept rolling with that, and of course they got closer, and but in retrospect, now that we know this, it's like you got to look back and say, well, maybe it would have been different if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a strange bit of vampire stuff that I've not really heard before.
That's one of the things the show's really good about. I think, and I'm not a vampire mythology expert, but
what?
I know it says it on my business card, but the printer I use is really bad. Oh, so many wrong things printed over the years. So many. Really, you should definitely. Switch. It's such a good deal.
Okay, it better be.
It's such a good deal.
All right, well, as long as you're saving money.
That's funny. It's like after all these years, we finally know why my business cards were always screwed up.
That was a revelation.
The final mystery.
Wow.
That's why.
Wow, we should have saved that for the final Lost podcast. We'll have to reveal some other secrets in that one.
Yeah, there'll be more secrets. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, True Blood. Right. So, what else
I think what you're saying about this blood power is right.
I was looking for a good name for it. Blood power. Thank you.
I think it's definitely a bit of a plot contrivance.
Yeah.
To move the plot in the direction they want it to go. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how good this is going to be. I'm somewhat worried. My experience with romance triangles is
here's the thing.
That they can be pretty tedious.
Here's the thing. I'll say again, I'm sure later, is one thing about True Blood is they don't bat average.
Yeah.
Like, so many of the things I thought would be, like, at best, really good, they're like, no, we're not even going to deal with that. We're gonna shoot way above that. And they usually do. And so I think I think if they go in that direction, it'll be interesting. I think that, and it won't be typical. When they set up things that seems typical, they never turn out typical.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Marianne, she's this evil influence that comes into town. I know how this is gonna go.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh
you
God.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Jason,
wow.
he's gonna get in this cult church. Oh, I know how this is gonna go.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that didn't turn out how I thought it would either.
You know. So I say have faith, my friend. I think I expect it'll be worth it somehow, and it'll be interesting. And at the very least, I am getting tired of Sookie and Bill just being, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been okay this season since they've kind of been on the, like, you know, detective squad together.
Yeah.
You know. But if it was another season of them just going on dates and stuff, you know, that would have been a bit much, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I think this is time for the lovebirds to have some sort of separation.
Mhm.
You know. And then, you know, because that has to happen, and then because it has to be more drama and conflict. So.
Right.
More.
More. All right.
All right, so the rest of this episode, Jason and Sookie talk and make up about their problems. And it's cool because you realize that, you know, they had a scene like this before after Gran died.
Mhm.
And that's when you realize, oh, yeah, they're brothers and sister. And that, you know, they have this sort of history that is not on the show.
Yeah.
You know. And it's cool to see that and go, oh, yeah, that's right. They don't just know each other. They're like, you know.
Yeah. It's been easy to forget that this season because they were totally apart for most of the season, doing their own thing. They were. It was much more apparent in the first season.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, they quickly reestablished that once they were in the same place again.
What else? So the Marianne storyline, she, what is she doing? What are you doing, Marianne?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
I'm not doing nothing.
I don't believe you, Marianne. Oh, so this is the aftermath of the night, and Tara is all beat up, and she's thinking she's going crazy, and, you know, something's wrong. She's getting suspicious. Hoyt sort of stands up to his mama about Jessica.
Go Hoyt.
And that storyline. Marianne comes down to the station to look for Sam Merlot. And she comes in and sees Sam is gone. He has turned into a housefly.
Ooh.
And flown away. Back at Tara's house, or should I say Sookie's house.
Or Marianne's
house. Spoiler alert. And they're having game night or something, and Lafayette and Tara's mom come in and fight to grab her, and they take her out of there. And then Godric has a little meeting, and he talks to the head PR lady or whatever she is. He basically loses his sheriff title. But, of course, he doesn't care because he's going to kill himself.
Aww.
And Eric says his goodbye on the rooftop, and Sookie stays there. And a great line Godric smiles and says that he never thought he'd be dying with a human crying by his side, and that in 2,000 years he could still be surprised. And then he burst into blue flame. Goodbye, Godric. We hardly knew ye.
We really hardly knew ye.
Yeah, but so overall, 2 really good episodes.
Yep.
So you want to review the last one, the newest one?
Yeah. Or do you want to stop here?
You stop here and talk about it?
Do you want to?
What?
Stop here and talk about it.
About 10?
About, no. Do you... Okay. Do you want to... I'm just asking what you want to do.
Well, I'm asking what are the options?
Okay, the options are we talk about the ones you just described, or you describe the next one, and then we talk about them all.
Yeah, I say we describe the next one and then talk about them all.
Okay.
But don't you have that episode?
I have it, yeah.
Okay, good. I don't have it.
Oh, you want me to do it?
That's what I meant when I said, do you want to describe the next episode?
Oh, I thought you were saying, do you want me to describe the next episode?
Yes, that's what I meant.
No, you were saying that. So do I want you to describe the next episode? I thought that's what you were saying.
I was. Who's on first?
Well, then, yeah, I do want you to describe it, but you don't have it, so...
I want you to describe it, too.
There's a thing on Wikipedia, but let me try to do... I guess, are you just, like, skimming through it?
Yeah, I was just skimming through it.
All right, let's
Which is
see
why it was such a bad review.
Let's see if I can do this. Oops, no sound. Thank you. All right, so what happens? So we open up. Oh
my God. An hour later.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is a dream sequence with Sookie and Eric, and she's hanging out with him, and they're doing stuff. I guess he's crying about Godric because Godric just died.
Mhm.
And then she wakes up, and I guess they're driving in the bus, Jason and her, back to Ball's Hall.
Mhm.
And they're just talking. I don't remember what they're talking about. Then we get the credits. Then we move over to, Sam and Andy in the motel room.
Mhm.
Sam ends up going there. Did you say that in the previous one?
Oh, I probably didn't.
All right, anyway, that's what happened. So they're there now.
Yeah, Sam was a fly for a little while, and he went and observed Marianne, and then he went and flew over to where Pete was staying. Is it Pete? Andy.
Yeah, Andy's sort of like banished in disgrace, and Sam's on the run from the law.
Yeah.
And Marianne, perhaps more urgently.
Andy has a great line in this episode.
Oh, what is it?
Oh, I'll say it later.
Oh, okay.
Mystery.
So, yeah, we'll have to wait for that. So then they talk. I don't remember what they talk about. And then we go over to Bill's house, and at Bill's house, it looks like we got
some shenanigans.
Hoyt's mom, who's black-eyed and Hoyt and what's her name are there too, of course. And so it looks like there's a bit of a to-do about all of this. And I guess Bill and looks like Jason and Sookie are there as well. Is slightly wondering. Slightly wondering. That's weird. That's not what I want to say. Is just wondering what her deal is.
Mhm.
And so I guess then they talk. And then she starts playing Wii.
Yeah, they say playing Wii focuses them, and you saw Shaun of the Dead, right?
Yeah.
That reminded me of the oh man, it's sort of a spoiler. Yeah, I should say spoiler alert. This is the end of Shaun of the Dead.
Oh dear.
Great movie if you haven't seen it. But at the very end of Shaun of the Dead, he and his best friend, who got turned into a zombie, are playing the video game, and that he kind of it pacifies him to play the video game. So that reminded me of that when they did that to Hoyt's mom with the Wii.
Yeah.
Because they're basically zombies.
Yeah, they're a bit smarter than zombies, but they are zombies in a way.
Yeah. I mean, they're more complicated, but
they can think to a certain extent. Okay, so then we I don't remember what the outcome of that scene was, but
basically, like, everybody left and to go do other things, and then Hoyt and Jessica, I think, had to stay there with the mom.
Yeah.
Because I think what's his name? Jason's gonna go to find Sam, right? Didn't he say he's going to Marlotte's?
Oh, you're right.
I think he leaves for Marlotte's.
Yeah.
And Bill and Sookie leave to go to Sookie's house.
Yeah.
Because she's got to check in, and
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I guess in the motel room, Andy and Sam get a call from Arlene to come down there, and so they come down to Merlotte's, and so they go, and when they arrive, they find that she is, black-eyed, and there's a whole bunch of people there, also black-eyed, and they want to get Sam. That's their primary mission for Marianne. So there's a confrontation. Where they get him, and I guess the ending of this is Sam and Andy lock themselves in a freezer.
Yeah, they're trying to escape, and the only place they could get to was in the freezer, just to buy them some time, which I thought was a horrible idea, but Sam was right. He said, we're alive for now. Give them some time to figure something out.
Yeah.
Plus, Sam always has a backup plan. Now that he can turn to a fly,
Mm-hmm.
As long as no one knows the secret, he can use that and really escape a lot of situations.
Yeah,
even
that's
in
a good one.
I mean, you got to be careful because someone could swat him.
Right.
And in the freezer, it might be too cold for him to be a fly. So I don't know. But anyway, he's got that ace up his sleeve, which he uses later.
You're right. Yeah, he does. We'll be getting to that soon. So then we go over to Lafayette and Tara's mom's intervention with her, which isn't going so well because she's got the black eyes and there's really not much they can do about it. That's pretty much all that happens there. Then we go over to Sookie's house, and there's this sculpture in the front yard, and then they go inside, and it's gotten a bit creepy inside.
It's like Halloween exploded inside.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It's been thoroughly decorated in a fashion that Sookie would not have done herself.
Sounds like you translated that from another language.
I like to speak English like it's translated from another language.
Yeah, you do. It's nice.
It's my preferred style. Yeah, so they sort of look around for a while, and then then we go back. Oh, I guess she called Lafayette for some reason. I don't remember why she decided to do that.
What? Who called Lafayette?
Or maybe she called Tara's phone.
They went to her. Are you talking about Sookie?
Yeah.
Didn't she go in there because she's looking for Tara?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was her house, so I feel like she wanted to go there anyway. But yeah, she probably wanted to see Tara as well.
Well, I'm trying to remember, but she knew Tara was living there.
Yeah, she let her live there.
Yeah. So I mean, but that was the thing, is she wanted to check on Tara, so that's why she called Lafayette.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the house was creepy and Tara was nowhere to be found, and everyone is black-eyed, so she's worried.
Yeah, right.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that's. I kind of missed that part. When they drive into town, the town's like falling apart. Like people in the streets are banging their heads into posts, and like nothing's operating normally, and it's just like
chaos.
The whole town has lost it. So then at a certain point, Mary Ann appears, and there's a little confrontation here.
To say the least.
I guess Bill tries to fight her off by biting her, and he ends up getting really sick from sucking her blood, I guess. And she laughs about it, and then Sookie is none too happy about that. So she touches her face, and some light comes out of it. Her hand, don't really know what happened there. And neither does Mary Ann, but it does seem to hold her off for the time being. And so her and Bill leave. Then we go over to Sam and Andy in the freezer. Sam's a-drinking. I guess they're staying warm.
Yeah. Andy's drinking, too.
And then, so Jason the badass arrives and starts to...
oh, you mean Captain America?
Yeah. Starts to equip himself very thoroughly. But he goes with the primary weapon of a chainsaw. And decides to storm the place with that. He sees the crazy zombies doing their crazy zombie thing, and then he gets in there and tries to threaten them with the chainsaw, but they are not particularly impressed or frightened because they're zombies.
They're excited by it.
And yeah, they enjoy it. And so he takes Arlene hostage, which seems to sort of work. And he gets them to go outside. And then lets Andy and Sam out of the freezer. But unfortunately, the zombies just come back in once he lets her go.
Oops.
Wasn't the best plan there, Jason, but okay.
You can't blame Jason for that. You got to blame the writers for that. They took some liberties in terms of how they had defined the zombie people, because all of a sudden they're talking normal and they've got their normal personalities and they're cracking jokes and Terry's like ordering them. There's a hierarchy forming and like
Terry's the leader somehow.
Yeah, it was all of a sudden it wasn't that they were just mindless, and not mindless, but just obsessed, with doing, certain things. They just it was like they snapped out of it and were normal.
Yeah.
But we're bad, but just like normal personalities. Yeah, exactly. Normal with a mission, and it was like, but then they snapped back to the other thing.
Yeah.
It was. I thought that was really inconsistent. It was jarring, I think, and I think that was the best way they could get Jason to rescue them was, well, we basically need them out of the picture for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, it was just weird how when he got Arlene hostage and it was kind of working, but then she was like, yeah, kill me, and everyone else was like, kill her, but then Terry was like, no, don't kill her. And then he's like, you think the real Terry's gonna snap out of it, but he doesn't.
No.
It was weird. I thought that was weird.
It was. It was awkward. Mm-hmm. But basically, since they want Sam decides to give himself up, and so they take him and kind of leave Andy and Jason alone.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go back over to the intervention with Tara, which is still not going well. A young lady shows up wanting some V, I guess, from Lafayette, and he tries to brush her off. It doesn't go so well. Bill shows up and threatens her with his teeth, and so she runs away. So I guess Bill and Sookie are there now, and they go in and they see Tara. Sookie tries to read her. She doesn't see anything. But I think let's see. How does this end? I guess he decides to glamour her.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the end of this little bit of this story. Okay, then we go back over to the zombies at Merlotte's, who attached Sam to the top of a car, I guess, to drive him over to Marianne, I presume. But Jason and Andy hatch another plan to rescue him. A plan that is probably the silliest thing I've seen on this show.
Yeah.
Where this reminded me of Shaun of the Dead, where
yeah, very Shaun of the Dead.
Jason decides that he's going to impersonate Dionysus using flares and a branch.
Mm-hmm. He's the MacGyver of bon temps.
And some like goggles. And so he stands on this vehicle and says that he wants Sam, and he tries to convince them that he's the god that they're gonna sacrifice him to. And it works. They actually believe him. There's some initial skepticism, but that branch horn really seals the deal. And,
it was, then Sam gets a bright idea and tells Jason to smite him,
right?
To gesture and do to get it over with. And then, I love that line when Jason isn't getting it and Sam says, "Smite me, motherfucker."
Yeah, there's a really long exchange where he keeps telling him to smite him, and he doesn't hear him or understand.
I love the "smite me, motherfucker" because the zombie people heard it.
Yeah.
You just know they heard it because this scene is too ridiculous.
Yeah.
They can hear that, and it can still play out.
Yeah. No, this scene is. Yeah, it's so silly. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah.
Because, what's going on here is pretty serious and insane and frightening. But this scene is just silly. It's hard to take it seriously.
The way they try to make it work is, and I think they set it up in the first scene when they come and to sort of rescue I want to call her Darlene, to rescue Arlene. And they show the people from the zombies' perspective.
Yeah.
And it's all sort of blurry.
Yeah.
And then when Jason is doing his whole thing as Dionysus and has the flares, they show us that version again where it doesn't look like Jason with flares.
Right.
And I think they tried to smooth that idea out with that they're not seeing like we normally see.
Right.
Yeah,
their vision is blurry enough that they're convinced that he's actually a god.
Yeah, because they have cataracts now, glaucoma.
But you're right. Definitely the climax or the most convincing part of all this is Sam gets the idea to have the gods smite him, and at that moment he transforms into the Fly, so it looks like he just vanished. And so that's pretty convincing. If I saw that, as silly as Jason looks, it would definitely make me wonder what happened. If I didn't already know. So so everybody's suitably impressed, but I think the audience knows what happened there. But Andy and Jason don't actually know what happened.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what Sam's deal is. So they're just sort of looking around baffled after that. Then we go back over to Sam comes out, and he's naked, and he says he'll explain later.
Yeah, Sam comes out to put out the fires or whatever, and
yeah,
he obviously doesn't have his clothes.
Right. As his clothes are still there from when he changed. Okay, then we go back over to the intervention, and Bill's trying to glamour Tara to. I guess they want to. What do they want to do here? Read her mind? Is that the goal?
Well, they're trying to get through to Tara, to Tara's subconscious, basically, because the top layer is basically Mary Ann's influence, and so they're trying. She couldn't get past Mary Ann's sort of blockage, and so Bill is trying to glamour Tara to sort of focus her and soften her up for Sookie to, penetrate deeper than she's ever gone before. I knew that line was coming before he said that. I was like, oh God. I'm like, this is the point where she's gonna have to really dig deep, because she never it's not like she tries to read people's minds.
She wants to not do it mostly.
Yeah.
So this technique appears to work. Eventually, there's this short montage of stuff that happened with her that we've seen, and then at the end of that, her eyes go back to normal, and it's Tara again.
Mhm.
She's back. And
so basically, Sookie unblocked, the mental block that was there, and Tara now remembers everything she did, and under Mary Ann's influence.
Oh, she does?
Yeah. Well, that's why she reacted the way she did the rest of the scene. That's what she was crying and apologizing to everybody, because that's why she said she was crazy. Because she remembered.
Good
that's
point.
why we saw those memories that we saw were for us and for her. They're really more for her because we already saw them.
Right.
So it was basically Sookie, like popping that cork or whatever, and so Tara basically took over control now of herself. And so but that's, I mean, can you imagine, learning if you did all that stuff and learning that, like, oh my God, and knowing that you weren't under your own control. Like, oh my God, I did, all the crazy stuff she did. She's got to feel pretty bad.
Yeah, you're right. I knew that at the time. I just couldn't remember it when I was watching it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that would be a weird thing to remember. I don't recommend it to anyone. If you're going to do it, at least don't remember it. Then we have a pretty long scene where Sookie and Bill talk, and I guess the outcome of this scene is, in part at least, I think they realize what Marianne is.
Well,
is that right?
Well, Sookie asks Bill, what she is, and Bill says he has an idea. He doesn't exactly say. He says he once read about, some ancient creatures, because Sookie repeats the phrase that Tara and people were chanting, and Bill had heard one of the names and remember this from reading about these ancient creatures, and he has an idea of what they are. He doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he says what, but he says he might. And, well, Sookie says, what is she and how do we kill her? Because that's Sookie, man. She's bloodthirsty. Not that she is not 100% provocated to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love that. She's like, what is she? And more importantly, how do we kill her?
Mm-hmm.
So Bill thinks that he might know someone who might have more knowledge about this creature that he thinks Marianne is.
That was the outcome. Yeah. Okay. So he's going to go see the Queen.
We find out he goes to see the Queen. Sookie's going to stay there, and hopefully she can do whatever she did to Marianne again. But she doesn't even know what she did, so.
Yeah, that's...
So the two things I wanted to bring up about this episode, because that's the end, right? Basically,
well,
Bill goes to the Queen.
Let me just quickly mention the one other scene that happens. Hoyt's mom provokes Jessica into biting her, and then we see Bill arrive at the Queen's place.
Yeah.
But we don't see the Queen or what the conversation is. So yeah, that's the end.
Yeah, we see in the Queen in the throne a body, the foot of a body, and there's blood dripping, and we don't know what to make of that, and they just cut off of that.
Yeah. All right, so that was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but oh well.
We got through it. We
made it eventually.
So the two big things in this episode that I think are pretty big in terms of the show and really cool is what Sookie did to Marianne, and Tara's whole story this season. So I'll start with Tara. I'll start with her. So what I realized with this episode is, remember in season 1, the whole thing was Tara's mom thought she had a demon inside of her, and that's why she was an alcoholic. Yeah. And all that stuff. And they went to the healer in the bus or whatever, and she did the whole thing, and Tara's mom thought she was healed, and Tara thought it was nonsense, and but then, she went back and forth on that, whether or not this lady had real powers or not. If demons were real or not, and as the audience, we made our decision. Did we really think there's a demon or not?
Right.
And then, they get over all that, and lo and behold, a demon walks into town. And this whole season has been Tara getting under the influence of basically a demon. And it's interesting because to realize that that's the exact parallel, or I should say the opposite of what happened with Tara's mom. It seemed preposterous, that a demon would be under your, controlling you, but the way they played it out made it realistic, and as realistic as that could be in terms of Marianne. Like, this is a way that a demon could technically be possessing you and making you do things that, but it's not the way we thought it would be when Tara's mom said she had a demon.
Right.
And I think there's something smart about bringing up an idea and basically saying, no, that's not really true, and then introducing that idea and not even, the audience doesn't even know that you're just showing that.
Right.
Until they kind of say it, like. So I just think that was a very, very bit of genius on their part in terms of writing.
The weird thing was, I didn't make that connection with the season 1 stuff, but I think that's a good connection to make. The weird thing was in the outcome of that to me was that they run into that lady later, and she's like working at Walgreens or something, and you find out that persona is just something she did, to make money, basically. And so to me, that meant it was all, it was a placebo effect, basically.
Demons don't exist.
Yeah, like she, Tara's mom thought that that's what happened and believed what was going on, and so, it worked, just by her own belief in it working. But nothing real supernatural transpired there. Like, I feel like that was the outcome of that. But I do wonder if there's any connection between that and the fact that it looks like Marianne killed her.
Marianne killed the Walgreens lady?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how, because I think, I don't know. I mean, because when Tara left the Walgreens or whatever, wasn't that the same night she ran into Marianne? When she was coming back into town or something?
Oh, God. Really? Maybe. Yeah. Seems like that's right, but I really don't remember at all.
Because it's basically saying, demons don't exist, and then she, almost runs over a naked demon and the pig. But I don't know. Anyway, when I made that connection between the season 1 stuff, I thought, because that's a long arc. Yeah. That sort of underlying thing, and it's just so weird that, I mean, interesting how they portrayed that, and how Tara is now in the position where her mom was, and it's like, her mom thinks she was possessed by a demon. Now Tara knows how, even if whether or not she believes her mom was, just the fact that she went through that, lends validity to that fact. I mean, here, because Tara was experienced being under something else's control. So I thought that was really interesting, and totally. That's such a strange storyline for characters to have.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
Whether or not demon is possessing you,
Yeah. Yeah, and they even, in this no, it was in the previous one. They even showed Marianne like tempting Tara's mom with alcohol.
Like she knew, yeah.
Which makes some kind of connection, I think, with what she thought the demon was doing. Yeah. Originally, driving her to drink too much. And act violently when she did.
I mean, if you think about all the stuff that her mom did, that's Marianne stuff. Yeah. It's total Marianne stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I have a feeling Marianne, we saw her show up into town.
Mhm.
When we saw her the first time, but I don't know. You know, because Sam, I mean, she was there with Sam when Sam was little, but I don't know if that was the same. Is that supposed to be in Bon Ton or not? Because he's not from there.
Yeah, that's right. He was from somewhere else originally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where that was.
It seemed like she had just come into town, but I'd be interested to see if they try to tell us that Tara's mom was that Mary Ann was doing that to her too.
I wonder whose house that was.
Which house?
The original house.
Oh yeah, we'll never find out.
I know. I'm just like, what was up with that house?
Well, it's weird because in this episode, when Sookie says, you know, this is my house, and Mary says, this is my house now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like that's probably something like what she did to that first house.
Yeah.
I mean, she says like she was just staying there and whatever, but I bet like if she acted like it was her house, and I bet whoever house it was, she basically kicked them out.
Yeah.
Or ate them or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And just took ownership of it because she wanted it, because that's what she does.
Right.
But
it's weird. The thing that's it seems strange that she's doing all this just for Sam. Like it's hard for me to believe.
Well, I think
that it all
for whatever
hangs
reason.
on that.
Well, they said that they want Sam for the sacrifice, and that apparently the god is coming.
Right.
Dionysus or the devil or somebody.
Oh, man.
You know, guess who's coming to dinner, right?
Are we really going to see Dionysus in person on the show?
I would have to imagine. Here's what I'm thinking.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Here's what I'm thinking, and I'm usually wrong, but I don't see. I think they'll be hard pressed to defeat Mary Ann.
Mhm.
And if Mary Ann is telling the truth, and it sort of would follow that her God or whatever, whoever she serves is significantly more powerful.
Mhm.
I just don't see how they would deal with that. So I would imagine that they end up stopping it by killing her first or something like that.
Okay. So we never get to see.
Yeah. Or I mean, I don't. Or maybe, you know, he will only come if there's a sacrifice at that time, and it, you know, something like that. And if they miss the window, he won't show up. Or
right.
You know, I'm wondering if he's coming whether or not they get Sam. You know.
Right.
But you know, Sam is special, and there's something about, and I think he's made more special by being unwilling to be under her control. So, I think somehow that's just more of a prize, for Dionysus or whatever.
Right.
But you know what? I do have to say, this whole idea of the sacrifice finally, I think, kind of puts her modus operandi into perspective, because, you know, we kept wondering, like, why does she sort of do all of this, you know, sort of make people do things, even if she's feeding off of it, like, well, how much could she really be getting out of it, because she's making them do it more than she's tricking them into doing it or anything like that.
Right.
But I think the sacrifice part of it is, you know, that's a means to an end, you know. And the sacrifice is the sort of the result of creating all this chaos and stuff is being able to do these, like, sacrifices, which makes sense. You know, that gives her a reason to want to do all this.
Mhm.
Even if it's just her controlling them, the reason is so they can do these sacrifices.
Right.
And, you know, do all the other what other, you know, job functions she has as a demon. You know.
It kind of seemed like she had to build up to it.
Yeah, it did. It seems like it had to build up.
But she didn't.
I mean, I think part of that is storytelling. I don't see them, even if you didn't have to build up, we get where we are now in the third episode. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. But, it does. It definitely seems like she has to do that.
Yeah, because, now you have the black-eyed people, nowhere near her, just, doing their own thing, whereas before it seemed like they were just, the ones she was directly controlling.
I think the idea is the more she was, putting them under her control, the more of themselves they were losing, And so basically, which ties into her ability to control them. So basically, the more she did it, the longer she could control them. I think we were supposed to get the idea they were blacking out longer too.
Yeah.
As it went on, and then to the point where now they're always blacked out. They're always under her control. So.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, the whole Tara storyline, I thought that was pretty cool and interesting, and we'll see what happens. She tried to go, she wanted to go rescue Eggs because she realizes what he's, what's going on now. But no one's gonna let her go do that.
Yeah, that's oh my God.
He's probably gonna die. I think he's gonna die.
Yeah, I do too.
So
sorry,
the other thing that I thought took the show to really another level. I think there's been a couple things that have made the show better than anyone could expect. Number one was when they said there's other things in the world besides vampires and werewolves. I thought that opened it up to another level. I think Marianne opened it up to another level. So they're basically following that, showing us something crazy that's in the world.
Yeah.
And the other thing was when Sookie touched Marianne's face, when her hand lit up and fended her off. That was another jump, man. To me that was pretty spectacular, because they talked about in season 1 how special Sookie was, and everyone says, "What are you?" And that's sort of the original mystery. I guess it's kind of like Smokey. It's like but you forget. You think, oh, she's just a telepath, and you forget that there's more to it than that. And this was a big reminder that there's a lot more going on with her than telepathy.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really cool. And it's such a because we were wondering how are they going to fight off Marianne, and my thought was Godric was going to be the only one strong enough, and then he got killed, killed himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what are they going to do? And the answer was there all along. Sookie wasn't in town.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time to reveal something like that. That does make me wonder, though, about that other telepath guy in Dallas. And, is he the same species as Sookie? Could he do this hand light thing as well? And, how is she like that? I mean,
well,
is she just like spontaneously born like that? Were her parents like that? Was her grandmother like that? What about Jason?
Before we get to all that, I have a theory about what Sookie might be, and I don't think you're going to like it.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I think my friend Ben at work, thought of this idea.
Okay.
We were talking about this a while ago. We were actually talking about this a while ago, and I don't know if this is in the books or whatever, but basically the idea is that she's an angel. And as much as I would say that no, they wouldn't do that, it is pretty much the direct opposite of a demon.
Mhm.
And we already are working with pretty much a demon on our hands. And it makes sense with the white light, which did look cool, by the way. Now, here's the caveat that I want to say this immediately, is that I don't think they're probably ever going to say the A word, even if they go in that direction, in which, you know, she could be whatever they want. This might not even be it. But if that's the basic idea, I don't think they would say the A word. And number two, they would make it interesting. It wouldn't just be anything conventional. They would put a True Blood twist on that idea, which would be interesting. So that's my big Sookie thing.
Wow. I would not have thought of that.
I think something like that's probably true.
Okay, but then, I mean, does that
I mean, now it could be that she's they could say she's a witch, a good witch. You know, I mean, that was one of the early ideas, that she's some sort of witch. I mean, she's some sort of magical creature, obviously.
Yeah.
So whatever they label it, you know.
Right.
You know, she's going to be close to something. You know, they can't invent anything entirely new, so.
I'm wondering how she got that way. You know.
I would imagine she was always that way, and it's the same with,
like,
you know.
Her parents just spontaneously birthed an angel? Like, that just seems really...
Have you read the Bible?
I don't remember the part where that happens, but no, I haven't.
Well, there was you know, some special birthing going on and somewhere in there.
There was
number
birthing,
one,
yes.
And number two, there were a lot more fantastical things than that.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's not as though they couldn't say that. It's just, you know, it strains realism a little bit. And I want to say it strains internal realism, like in terms of the world of True Blood, even like basically, like Mary Ann, for example, you know, as they said, is immortal and it's just always been there. You know, if they said Mary Ann has parents and grandparents and stuff, it would be like, what the fuck? How did they have this as a kid? You know, I feel like that's not part of the True Blood universe, that you just spontaneously have kids that like...
True. Well, I mean, you could say her parents were angels too then, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
then what about Jason? Does that mean he's one too? Like, he's never had any of the abilities, you know?
Well, we've never seen... We don't know what his ability... I think Jason does have special powers. I just think they haven't told us what they are yet. I think he's, you know, I think whatever he's got that they've been showing us is some sort of ability. And I think he's trying to hone it. And maybe it's just good leadership. Maybe it's just like being able to, you know, get out of these sticky situations. But I think he's got some uncanny abilities. And I just, you know, I think they're hinting at that. I think they're trying to show us that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's got something, something, and it's just blatant or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they could do. I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to think how she could be an angel, because it could be anything. It could be just some sort of idea of something that gets passed down and that just makes her magical or something. And you know. I think whatever she is, I hope they try to tie it into the telepathy, because that might, you know, they might be able to give us a reason why she's a telepath.
Yeah, that's the other thing. She's not immortal, presumably.
Yeah. Presumably. We've never seen her die, but...
but, you know, she was born and had a childhood, and
there's nothing to say that angels, if they did angels, they couldn't say they could die. It's all
right, but that is a contrast with the demon that they've shown.
Well, it doesn't have to be a direct contrast. I mean,
no, it doesn't have to be. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
And actually, what?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, another similarity is Sookie can't make people do things, but she can get in their head, and Marianne can too.
Yeah.
So maybe in a couple thousand years, Sookie could do what Marianne could do. But she wouldn't make them do the bad things.
Well, her parents weren't immortal because they died. So
they died mysteriously.
They did die mysteriously, but her grandmother died not mysteriously.
But her grandmother was mysterious. She always seemed like she was hiding something. You gotta admit.
I do admit. But she, was murdered very conventionally. So, there's wiggle room there, but it certainly seems as though, if she's what her parents and grandmother were, then she's, she can die.
Yeah.
In the conventional way, any human could die.
Yeah. I would bet that it would be something pretty rare, whatever she is. I don't think her whole family would be it'd probably be something rare. And judging by the fact that, there's that other telepath guy, there's probably a few, small number of them out there.
Yeah, I guess that made me think that, telepaths were a type, just like vampires or shapeshifters, But yeah, now I wonder if he's really the same thing as Sookie, or, if they just happen to share that particular ability. And also the origin story in general, where they come from, what their deal is.
Yeah.
But
what's your deal?
Yeah,
and that's, the same way, if she's an angel, whatever they said to call it, that same power could be, the same question you ask about that in terms of origin, you can ask about her telepathy too. Because maybe that ran in her family too.
Yeah. Well, it does sound like a plausible theory. I don't have one at all, so, it's better than anything I have. And I agree. I think the way they would do it, I would suspect they would do it in a way that's sort of similar to what they've done with Marianne, where it's like, this is really where the ideas come from, but they'll say, oh, she's also called this, or something like that.
Yeah.
Try to make it more broad.
I think, I don't actually think we're going to find out what she is anytime soon.
Oh,
I think they're slow playing this.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're really slow. They've barely given us anything. This is like the second bit of information we've ever got about her.
I just can't believe how much better this show is than I ever thought it could be. Like when I first heard about the show, I didn't think they could make it this interesting.
Yeah.
I thought, a show about vampires? Oh, okay, I know what that's going to be like.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be horrible. I was not looking forward to it at all. I didn't even start watching it until the first season was over.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't interested in it. Yeah, I agree. They've done a really good job with it. I think they've had some pretty good characters, and they've developed the mythology pretty well, and some of the storylines haven't been that great, but they've gotten over those hurdles and moved on to better things.
Yeah.
I really think the plot for this season is better than last season.
It's like 10 times better. I think part of the problem is it's really heavily Marianne focused, but that's still what makes it a lot better because it's a lot more focused. And
I think Marianne's a way better, more compelling villain than Renee the killer was.
We didn't even know who the killer was, was for most of the season.
Yeah, that's true. It was mostly, but even when we found out, I don't think he was ever that great of a villain.
He couldn't be
compared to her. I would say for this season, the resolution of the Fellowship of the Sun, the Godric Kidnap, and all that.
Yeah,
I think that was great. That was a bit.
They fudged that one a bit. It was sloppy. I think it was. I don't know what happened there. It seemed like a little bit of a car wreck.
Yeah.
But they got by it quickly.
They did. They pulled themselves out of it. I was never convinced by Godric when he would talk about how he just went with them and
didn't make any sense.
And they treated him well, and he was just hanging out down there
Oh, you know what? When he was talking to the PR lady, he kind of tried to explain again. I forgot what he said now, but he said something, and that made me go, "Oh, okay. I see what you were doing." It still wasn't great, but there was a line in that scene that made it a bit better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot what it was though. They made it a little bit better with why he tried to do that. But it still wasn't great. It was just a weird circumstance for it to be like, he's so strong, how could he get captured? Oh, well, because he wasn't.
Right.
And it's like, you're not in danger. He wasn't even in danger this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and he killed himself anyway.
Yeah, and that was that seems like what they were trying to get at was that it's almost like he didn't want to tell Eric or the audience that what he really wanted was for the Fellowship to kill him and put him out of his misery. And I think maybe that's what I'm thinking about is when we realized that in that scene that he wants to kill himself. I think that's when I realized that was his original motivation. But they didn't tell us that. They had him tell us that he was just doing it under this guise of humans and vampires being peaceful.
Right.
But really, but remember, this whole time he's really sullen. This entire time we've seen him, even at the after party, people are thanking him, and he's all depressed.
Yeah.
And I think what was going on was he wants to die.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what that whole thing was. And I think in retrospect it works. But when you're watching it, you don't know that. You don't know that because if we knew that he went there because he wanted to die, and and the characters don't know, but we know that, I think that changes how all that stuff plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. It makes it seem less ridiculous that he's just hanging out down there.
Yeah, and I kind of like
no
the
plan.
fact that he, because even when Eric was asking him when they're in the basement, he says, "What are you doing?" Blah blah. You see, Godric it's like he doesn't want to tell him the real thing. But I think it was just a bit too subtle with that point.
Yeah.
But I think, but I like that they tried to do that to show that he didn't want to tell anybody that.
Yeah, and the thing he actually did, just stay outside for the sunrise, that's how they were going to kill him.
Yeah. I think that's why he was going to go along with it, because it was, he was going to go out that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems like that's what they were going for, but yeah, it's odd that they never came out and said that.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't really drive that one home.
And it was just it just got really out of control when all the various groups came in the same room, and this group does this and this guy does that, and trying to resolve all of that story at once, it wasn't really very satisfying.
And it was weird to have so many of the big players in the same room. I mean, like Eric's there, and then Bill shows up, and Jason's there. It's like we've got too many rescuers here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, they couldn't handle that many.
What's going on?
Yeah,
and then the Dallas vampires show up, and then God, it's like there's too many Deus Ex Machinas in this scene. Like, jeez. Usually Bill is enough to get you out of a jam. We've got everybody here.
Yeah, it was out of control. And I thought in the immediate aftermath when Godric was talking about how vampires haven't been that good and they should try harder to get along with the humans and we're going to do it this way. I really thought that was going to be that was going to be a thing,
A new campaign.
Yeah, like he would start doing that, and we would see the effects of that. And I really had no sense that he was going to go kill himself in the next episode.
That was a left turn. That was a curveball when he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to kill myself."
Yeah, that I was really surprised by that. And it's too bad because he was a good character for the very short time that he was on screen.
Well, it seems like he was good because he was so forlorn because he was going to kill himself.
Yeah, I guess so.
And it's just like we didn't get to know that while he was going through it. It's like afterwards, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yeah. They did reemphasize. They had him say again that father, brother, and son line, which is good. I like that.
Yeah, bookending that whole their journey.
That 1,000-year relationship. Actually, really weird.
And I think it shows. Even if you're immortal, you would want it to end at some point. I mean, at some point you're like, okay, I think I had enough.
I agree, yeah. And that's a good thing about being a vampire. If you don't like it, just go outside during the daytime. Just I mean, there's various ways you can die, and so you're not really immortal. You're just less susceptible to mortality.
You're immortal, but not impervious to mortality. Maybe.
Yeah. Because
you will live forever if you don't die.
Provided certain things don't happen. Yeah.
Effectively immortal. I don't know. It's
but
category 2.
When the sun supernovas or something, like what happens then?
Well, that calls into question what is immortality then? I mean, the universe. I mean, if something is going to live forever, but the universe is going to implode, well, does that mean that it's not going to live forever?
Yeah. If you survive to the heat death of the universe, then you basically can't do that.
Yeah.
Because at that point there's no energy left in the universe, and so that includes you.
Where's the energy supposed to go? What's supposed to happen to it?
It just dissipates from the universe expanding.
So that it's still there, but it's spread across like so big of a distance that doesn't have any effect.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's potentially there, but nothing is active anymore because things are so spread out.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you could cram it back together again, you could get that energy again.
Yeah.
But it's in such a state that it's stable and nothing's happening anymore.
Sounds boring.
And so time stops, and yeah, everything's over.
Mhm.
Yeah, forever is a really I think effectively it just means a really, really long time.
Yeah.
For vampires. I mean, forever is just too long, I think, for anything to really say it's going to live.
Yeah.
In any kind of reasonable way, and they don't really ever try to deal with that.
And I think the idea is, they definitely don't, yeah.
And they have the ideal kind of immortality where they can die whenever they want to, basically.
Yeah.
So they get tired of it, that's it. It's not like death becomes her or whatever, where, they
movie.
try to kill themselves and then they just have to live with their deformed body.
Yeah, that's the worst kind of immortality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's the kind of where Torchwood or Captain Jack Harkness, he's you can blow his head off, or you can suffocate him, or you can whatever you do to kill his physical body, he's going to come back.
Mhm.
But it's like a biological it's like he just reforms,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess that's the middle. Well, it's kind of worse because he can't end it.
Yeah.
He sort of can't ever not be alive.
Yeah.
He can be unconscious though forever. So effectively he could do that, but not exactly the same.
Right. I think you have something like Q, who is impervious to physical injury, but I don't think he can die if he wants to.
I think Q's transcend any of that.
Yeah, that.
I think they have. Haven't they always existed, basically?
Yeah,
something
I think
like
so.
that.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, they're beyond that. They're not like. Yeah, they're not like just ordinary. Creatures living in the world.
No.
They're not in great turmoil about not being able to die.
No. They're having too much fun.
Yeah, so maybe they could if any of them ever wanted to, but they don't. So they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, that's I think vampires have it pretty good. There are some problems, I'll admit,
yeah.
but
it is sort of supposed to be a curse.
Yeah. But with the True Blood, I have to say that gets rid of a lot of the downside.
Yeah. The healing's good.
The healing's great, yeah. I like the fast thing, too.
Mm-hmm. Get to work early?
I think that'd be fun. Yeah, that's what I would use it for. Get to work early. Yes!
Because you couldn't get to work early before.
Right. Yeah, and of course, if I work during the day, I probably don't want to go to work early.
Mm-mm.
Or at all.
You gotta get to work before the sun comes up.
Yeah, okay.
So you can get inside and work and leave after sunset.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
Well, what else do we need to talk about? We got to wrap this podcast up.
All right. Let's see. What else is there? What did I want to say? Still don't know where the Lafayette selling V thing is going.
That scene was so weird. I didn't understand what was going on until they said the.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Because Sookie and Bill were coming, and I'm like, what is this girl doing? Like, she's in the wrong scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can't you see Sookie's returning from being out of town and Tara's inside? Like, it seemed like she was early on her cue. Because we're waiting for the two teams to meet and talk, and then this chick interrupts, and she won't go away, and I'm like, what's going on here? This is impeding the story, and there's Sookie in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool how Lafayette held it in. He did that little hand thing in her face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's just genius. He's one of the best characters ever written on TV, man.
Yeah.
He's just a ball of contradictions. He's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think they just wanted to bring the V back up.
I agree. That was a point to reestablish that he's doing that.
And to let Bill know that Eric is making him do it.
Mhm. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. To do that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think Lafayette went up quite a few notches this season. He wasn't bad in the first season, but he got a lot more to do this season, I think.
Oh yeah.
You got to see him in various strange situations, and especially that first part. The captivity and the aftermath of that. I think that was all really good stuff. Yeah. So
no, he's been good this whole time, and even now, rescuing Tara and all that. And yeah, no, he had a pretty good season so far. Yeah,
definitely. I wouldn't have expected what they've done with him. So, but I don't know what the. I don't know what. I guess they might be setting that up for season 3 at this point. I really don't know how they're going to pay that off this season in any serious way.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they barely have time to just resolve the problem they've got now in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be some big cliffhanger.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that'll carry over, and it'll be a while before we'll find out what the point is, or maybe I don't know. I'd like to think there's some good reason for it, but I really have no idea. So anyway, I think that's all I got on this.
All right. Yeah. Definitely a good season. They picked it up several notches for this season.
Yeah, it was good before, but it's gotten crazy now.
I think the ratings are I think I saw that the last episode was the most watched HBO episode ever.
Oh, really?
Did I read that right? I think something like that. It hit some record for something with HBO and viewership.
Wow.
It hit a record, yeah.
Wow, it's a phenomenon.
No, it's definitely a phenomenon. It's not like this little critically acclaimed show no one's watching. It's like people who most people I come in contact with know about the show and I'll probably watch it. And everyone is telling their friends to watch this show.
Yeah.
And friends, I got to tell you, you should watch this show.
Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to that. So I had no idea how well it was doing. I guess I knew it was doing well enough to keep being picked up, but
well, yeah, it got picked up for this. In the middle of season 2, they already got greenlit for season 3. I mean, that's a great sign.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, the question is how long they can sustain it.
Mhm.
You know, before it gets old, and obviously it hadn't been on that long, so they're still doing okay. But I guess that we'll see what they do with next season, because I think this one they could ruin it. They could definitely pull a Dexter at the end.
Oh man.
Which would be
I don't think they're going to, though. I don't think they're going to, but they could. It's possible.
Which would be really depressing. But even if they did pull a Dexter, I think there's too much good stuff in this season for it not to have been a good season.
I mean, they could pull a season 1, season 1 True Blood,
Yeah. Right.
And just be like, what? That's it? Okay.
Yeah. Season 1 didn't end spectacularly, so that's the. I don't know. Most shows I watch don't really have spectacular season endings. Seems like Lost is the only show that really does that consistently.
Mhm.
Most of the time, it's just like some little thing.
Yeah, and it's an action show.
Yeah. That's true. It's true. But I'm looking forward to next week. I really don't quite know where this is going. I do think, in general, I would say, Sookie is going to play some kind of role in fighting off Marianne.
Mm-hmm.
But the details, I have no idea. And I'm quite curious how much we're going to see of the of the God that comes.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm curious to see that too. It'll be pretty telling how much they show of that. I mean, whatever they do, it'll be like, it'll be crazy. Whatever they do with that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it seems like they basically had her take over the town.
Oh man, no, she literally came in and destroyed the town. I mean, that's what she did this season. And that's pretty, and no one could have, I mean, when we first saw her, no one would have been like, yeah, here she's going to come in and just ruin the whole, tear down the town. I mean, the town is totally done.
Yeah.
Everyone's hurt and beat each other up and rape each other and and I mean, it's not like she just came in and made a little ruckus. I mean, she completely changed everybody's lives.
Yeah. It's getting serious.
Mhm.
And you saw a little bit of that, at the police station, where it looked like they were just locking the whole town up.
Mhm.
That
was his answer to things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'll put them all in jail.
He must think he's got the word. I mean, he had murder investigations all last season. Had a murder in his midst. Then this, he's got Sam. He's got crazy town people. If he doesn't quit, I mean, geez.
Yeah, he's really getting a lot more than he should expect.
Yeah. And he's trying to handle it all like it's not crazy.
Yeah, you're right.
Just another day.
There's no sense that he's cracking or treating it as anything outside the ordinary.
Mhm.
So all right, well, we'll just throw him in jail. Oh, here's another one. Throw him in, no problem. Oh, Sam, you probably murdered a woman. Oh well, just sit in here.
Well. Why would you? I got an anonymous tip. You must have done it.
Oh, God. Yeah, best evidence ever. Just call a random police station and tell them somebody murdered somebody. They'll lock them up for it.
Mhm.
That's all they need.
Yeah, that's all you need. Somebody told me. Who? I don't know. Somebody.
I don't know.
You tell me? Who told me?
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's the only one working there now.
Well, the lady was there at one point, but I don't know what happened to her.
That's right. They showed the lady, and then they quit, and then it just seemed like it was
the thing.
Him.
When after Jason smote Goliath. Sam. Andy took a drink of his alcohol and then said, "That's the last drink I'm ever gonna have."
Mhm.
I thought that was so great. That was
a line.
That was a line. Yeah. That's the best line he's ever had. If that's for real, if like after that point he doesn't drink ever again, that's such a great like character thing.
Yeah.
To be, his whole life to fall apart because he's an alcoholic, and to see the most crazy thing he's ever seen, and to have one last drink and to be like, okay, I'm done.
Mhm.
Maybe the world is too crazy for me to be drunk. Whatever his reasoning is.
Mhm.
I love that. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's almost like he's, foretelling the future.
Mhm.
Like, this is the last one. But we'll see.
I believed him at the time.
Yeah, I believe him too. And the test of the good writing will be whether or not it's just a line they have and he's drinking next episode.
Yeah.
Or if that's a character development line and he doesn't ever drink again.
Yeah.
Or
I feel like with his arc, he can be on the road to recovery at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's what'll be the sign if it's good writing, because it's an arc.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think getting kicked off the police force and just like shacking up in a motel room was sort of his, after nobody believing him and all that stuff was sort of his rock bottom.
It's so weird, the show does a good job about giving, the secondary and tertiary characters like good arcs, I think. Because Andy started out complaining that no one called him detective.
Mhm.
And he was on the police force. People knew he was a good detective, but no one gave him that little bit of respect. And then he went he's getting negative respect.
Yeah.
It's the complete, bottom of that whole thing. So, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, all right. Well, this was our True Blood podcast / preamble with movie talk.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we need to sign this declaration.
All right. Well.
Give me a pen.
I don't know how to sign an audio form.
No one does. It hasn't been invented yet.
Okay.
But,
all right, audio signature.
We'll be back at some point to talk about the rest of the season of True Blood.
That's right. Woo!
Believe it or not.
Boom.
Okay, I got logged out of the call. What?
That's not good.
No, it's not.
I'm showing you're there.
Well, I just got back in.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
See you later.